I think I'm live.
Small delay. Yeah. Small.
Cool. Hey guys, welcome back again to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. And good to have you all here. Love to see some shout outs of where you guys are coming from. So you guys talk to me here for a bit, and we're going to cover a really, I think, a really interesting subject. Now, we're not going to be able All right, look at this. We got guys flying in from all over the place. So love to see all that from San Diego. Brother from another mother. That's good. Anyway, hi Cristiano, Lindsay. Cool. Some people are already showing up. This is a really important subject for me because it's what's inspired me to help me get good at what I do. So hopefully it'll inspire you to help you get good at what you do or want to do. And there are a very diverse group of singers that I like. And the important thing is I know I am going to leave out a lot of great singers. So please don't get mad at me if I left out some of your favorite singers, okay? And include them, like hit me back, from Budapest, from Arkansas, from Taiwan, from all these, Romania, all these great places, right? What I want to do is I want to just kind of have like an overall view of this. We can come back and we can then individually break down these singers one at a time and just discuss, what I liked about them, what I didn't like about them, and so forth. So I just want to start there. But before we do this, we had some questions from last week. Do we have those on hand by any chance? Okay, so while we're getting those questions up, I want to make sure that we satisfy, people that were here last week that had questions that we couldn't get to. And so as we're ramping up into this, and then we're going to go through my favorite singers, I want to know about your favorite singers and why, and then we'll hit some questions at the end. So we're going to get at least, give me like 2 or 3 of them here. So, all right. While they're doing that, I have a team here that's trying to help me, which is great because we've had a little bit of technical difficulty and we're finally getting a little bit more adept at doing this. But Izumi says, I bought 2 of your series, How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else 1 and 2. I personally cannot comprehend the concept of singing. My voice continues to shake. I cannot belt. What do I do? Well, the first thing when I hear stuff like that is, did you really go through the section on diaphragmatic support? Because typically, that actually is going to really help you strengthen the shakiness in the sound of your voice. If you didn't do that, can you please hit us back and let us know? But the most important thing is you can ask that question here and now, and that's cool, but you can also go into my singing forums and ask it and post stuff so we can listen and give you a really cool evaluation of it. So you're not just, I only get one chance to talk to Ken when he does this webinar. So I designed the forums in such a way, quality help in there to help you understand the best way to do that. Okay, next question is Castile Songs. Loving the course. 2 months in, question for Ken. How do we make the softer bridging voice as bright as it is in the la-ah chest? Okay, there's more than one answer to that question, and let me start with this. You have to do it's the la-ah first in order to make it bright. Now, in order to get power and resonance, I should say. If you stay soft on the sound, you'll never get power and resonance. If you get power and resonance, you can come back and add air and get soft on the sound. So you have to start first with a contiguous bright sound and then grow that sound. And it doesn't have to be loud, it's just resonance. I'm not talking about over bloating the vocal folds themselves. I'm talking about getting a nice bright tone. Then you can come back and you can add air to the sound for a lighter tone, and you can do it at different spots of where mixed voice would happen. So, next question is Nikolai. How do singers get more warmth in the mid voice over time? Thinking someone like Paul McCartney with a very warm mid voice. Okay, well that's a good question. In fact, that's a very complicated question. He is a singer-songwriter voice kind of guy. Okay. So he is a tenor, and he comes at it from a very lyric tenor perspective. Now, if you don't know what that means, I've posted a lot of stuff on voice types, and I want you guys to look that up of what a lyric tenor is. So lyric tenor is more of a ginger, gentle approach to singing. Now, by the way, he doesn't helter-skelter, belt it out, and he has some other things that he does well. But again, I'm not Paul McCartney. I'm not trying to usurp Sir Paul McCartney. But what I will say is that if you take a brighter approach to the sound, first and grow that first, you can come back with a more gentle approach and lean or add air to the sound. Now, other people will argue with this. Other people will say if you belt and you belt, all you can do is belt. That's actually not true, and I'm not even suggesting that everyone just belts. That's not the point of this. What I'm saying is that if we grow a good, strong muscle mass and we build good cut and form to our muscles, then you're going to find out that you're able to do a lot more with your voice than if you were wimpy on it and you didn't do the work and put in the time to get strong. I'm going to answer one more question and then we're going to go straight into, because I want to get a lot done and we're already 7 minutes in. Astrid Anaya, what's the best way to use false chords? To use it in an interchange of singing to growling and it changed smoothly. Okay, that is such a big subject and an important subject. I can't answer that here and now, dude. And here's why. You're asking for an extreme sport. And you're saying, can you please tell me quickly how I can take my mountain bike and jump off a mountain? I can't do that here and now. Now, I do have tutorials. Look on YouTube. I've got 3 of them now that talk about the different stages of vocal distortion. And in my singing course, How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else, I cover not all of this, but a lot of that. Growl is a funky subject because there's a lot of people that can growl that can't sing, and there's a lot of people that can sing that can't growl, and there's all this flavor in between. So if you can just hang with me for a minute, stay with me for a few webinars and YouTube videos and whatever, we can get through this together. But it's a very important subject where I don't want a lot of people going out there ruining their voices. It's really important, okay? All right, I'm going to stop with those questions. We can hold those and suspend those for later. I want to talk about my favorite singers and why. And I want to start out with some of just my old rock guys. Now, I'm not going to only cover rock. I'm going to cover, I won't get to Motown, unfortunately. I'm sorry. I won't get to some of the doo-wop stuff because there's a lot of great there. I won't get to the crooner stuff, which is a shame because it deserves like Frank Sinatra and Harry Connick Jr. and all these guys that are awesome. I'll have to do that at another time because I only get so much time here. So I'm just going to cover, I just scooped up from my mind here. Here's some great singers that I really like. I'm going to start with Lou Gramm, okay? Now, those of you that know him, cool. If those of you that don't, his use of mask, his support, and his precision in his tone and his pitch was awesome. So I don't care what songs you look up by Lou Gramm, but I just want you to go to, Foreigner, the band, and I want you just to listen, Waiting for a Girl Like You, or I want you to go to I Want to Know What Love Is, or the older stuff like 17, or, like all kinds of great rock stuff that he's done, Jukebox Hero. I've done a lot of these songs, but go just take a look at his repertoire and listen to the way he was able to bring his sound into mask. Now, why I bring this in is I was going to talk about Stevie Wonder, but I thought what I would do is I would juxtapose kind of what Lou and Stevie did together. Not that they've done any songs together, but like how they use mask, is they're able to bring this song into the throat, and then they can resonate that sense across the roof of the mouth and bring it into the face. I like to think of it like shooting the song back into the head and bringing it down to the front of the face with good, strong support and a good relaxation response. So Lou was a master at this, and Stevie Wonder did it in a different kind of, on New Year's Day, and had like a really bright tone. Lou Gramm was, say you will, say you won't. He had a very pointed sound into the front. Paul Rogers. Now, why I'm bringing, I'm not just bringing up guys I liked because they were great in the past. I'm bringing up guys up that are great, period, and they're still kicking butt. Now, Lou's waned a little bit. He had some, he had brain surgery and some other things. Paul Rogers, to this day, his precision, his girth, his stamina is just crazy. Every time I've seen the guy sing, I'm like, I am not worthy. I'm not worthy. So, and I grew up on him for a long time, and I'm telling you, he has really got it going on as far as his support, his little boy voice, which we've talked about in my course, and I know you guys know about this, right? Where he has this little boy voice, and was able to get into spaces that are awesome. Aretha Franklin, she's an enigma. Let me tell you why. Early on, and I mean really early on, try to dig through YouTube. Try to go back as far as you can. Try to dig up the oldest songs that you can find from Aretha and listen to her tone. Okay? Now, we've talked about distortion. This is an odd bedfellow, and it's the reason I put these together when people were asking me about distortion. If you listen to early Aretha, you're going to find that she sounded like a beautiful young gal that was from, I don't know, I don't want to say the Bronx, but like, some place that was kind of tough. And then all of a sudden in church, she was able to little by little get that smoky, woodsy kind of tone to her voice. Well, over time, holy cow, her voice just went, it just exploded and got big. It's why she's called the Queen of Soul. This is important because it explains exactly what I'm talking to you guys about building resonance. Now, I want to laugh about something. Bear with me, all you rock guys out there. Humor me for 2 seconds. What if Aretha just wanted to go straight to vocal distortion? Think about it. What if she just wanted to go, she was a rock singer and wanted to go straight to vocal distortion? She would have destroyed her voice. However, Aretha has grown her voice with such gorgeous resonance over time, like a fine wine that's maturating, has been able to take her voice and just make it awesome over time. Even to this day, she's killing it, right? Okay, so next one, David Coverdale. And I know we've got a lot of questions and a lot of stuff coming in. So guys, we're saving your questions and, we're going to answer them in due process. But I want to talk about David Coverdale. Now, David Coverdale was one of my favorite singers, not for his technical prowess or expertise. He's like a street rod to me, a muscle car. And he just had raw power, and the guy could just kill it with raw power. So, but over time, you can't, even in the case of my own cousin, Sammy Hagar, who's still doing it to this day, very, very few people have been able to make it out alive with that raw power. You have to have a lot of energy, a lot of abdominal strength. You better be doing a lot of things right to do that. But I liked, his range, his tone. I liked his kind of thing he had going on, right? All right, I'm moving on now. I'm going into a little bit of R&B world, old school. Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke had these really smooth, silky vocals. Now, I find it ironic. First of all, he had a great natural range. Good for him. He could hit, I was born by the river. He'd go straight to these notes. I think that's a high C, in fact, right? Right out of the gate, right? Well, Steve Perry himself modeled or fashioned himself after Sam Cooke. Well, I've discussed this before, but it's really important because 2 things. If you listen to Steve Perry's vocals, and I'm not in any way going to diss Steve Perry, he is one of the greatest, pop rocks or rock vocalists of all time, but his vocals weren't quite as fat and girthy and warm as Sam Cooke, his model. And what happened was, what's interesting about that is you can hear Sam had a command of his whole abdominal cavity, and however he did it, I don't know. No one taught him. Who knows? I don't know. What I do know, though, is that when Steve went into singing heavier stuff, he wasn't really able to pull it off. He lost his voice. Bummer, because he didn't have the technical capacity to do this. Okay? Steve's awesome. He's Steve. I'm only Ken. I'm not trying to I'm just telling you what I know to be true. And it is true, by the way, because I live it and experience it every day. Okay, so I'm going to move on to Otis Redding. Just swag. The guy had swag, hey, let me let you in because mama, I'm so hard to handle now. And it's funny because if you listen to Black Crowes, and Black Crowes are awesome too. So, but if you listen to Otis's version, Otis sounded like a guy that was telling a story, and Black Crowes was sort of, to me personally, not trying to diss anybody. Please, no haters. If you're gonna hate, can you just delete people if they start hating? It's not that I didn't love Chris's version, it's just that it was vanilla, if that's okay to say that. Wilson Pickett. Now, Wilson Pickett, forerunner of like beefy, distortion. Wilson Pickett, if you listen Mustang Sally, all those songs, you listen to David Coverdale, Mustang Sally, oh, you better slow your Mustang down. This great, distorted, fat voice, right? David went, and Sam and Dave also were also good at this. But what you find is that rock guys were dipping into the Motown era to find these other guys that had this great distortion. So Wilson Pickett certainly was one of those guys, and was venerated by guys like David Coverdale and guys like, actually several singers from Deep Purple, without going into a lot of detail. And I got a lot of singers I want to get through. So Steve Walsh, and I know I'm going to miss some guys, so man, don't get mad at me. I'm not going to catch everybody. There's so many. I could talk about Mark Farner and all the guys from Grand Funk, and I could talk about Three Dog Night, and I could talk about all these different bands. So I'm not going to be able to grab everybody, but I'm just going to sort of, give a good overview, and then hopefully come back and dissect what I love and what I think could have helped differently about their voices. But Steve Walsh, smooth, accurate, always great live, jumping up and down on his piano, the singer for Kansas. Killer. Mickey Thomas. I am not worthy. Like, straight up. So Mickey was given just a beautiful tone, killer range, perfect pitch, always great, smooth sounding thing. Now, I'm going to cover some other guys like Jeff Tate. I'm going to start to get into later guys. But Jeff Tate, he had a really awesome range, but I didn't agree with the way he lost it, by the way. I didn't agree with how he did not protect his chest voice and bring it up higher so that he could have had a longer career in singing. He could have done that. He didn't. There's a few people like that. Even Bruce Dickinson. He also had some vocal issues, though he's still Bruce, and we love him. And Iron Maiden is Iron Maiden, but there's some issues there. My own cousin Sammy Hagar, he's just a full throttle kind of guy, and he's had a lot of body strength, a lot. And I mean a lot. Like, guys, a lot is required to do this stuff. So he was able to just throw it down. To this day, he's still killing it. Now, I'm going to touch on a very sensitive subject, and I hope you guys don't get mad. Hopefully you can appreciate what I'm going to say. But Freddie Mercury, okay? I personally have never thought of Freddie Mercury as being the consummate singer. Ooh, did I just say that? Yes, I did. In fact, Brian May, in an argument with Freddie Mercury, back in the day, Freddie had said, "I'm no Paul Rogers," admitting that he didn't have the same kind of technical prowess as Paul Rogers. Now, Freddie, of course, had composition, songwriting, all kinds of amazing melodic structures. He played piano, did all these crazy things. But let's talk about a couple things about his voice. It was really not that controlled. It was a theatrical voice that was very emotional and really cool. And I'm not saying it wasn't superb. Like, who am I to say that this? I'm just telling you straight up. And by the way, those that are in the know of this, those that really know what I'm saying, know that what I'm saying is true. So this isn't about dissing anybody. It's just, we're just talking about life and voice and whatever. He had crazy command of like I said, composition, theater, working an audience on stage, lots of stuff. But I want to talk about vibrato for a second with Freddie, and I'm going to juxtapose this to Elton John and some other people. And I know I'm going to get some hate from this, and it's okay, guys. It doesn't mean I'm God and gospel, and you guys can do with this whatever you want. His vibrato vibrated above the fold of the way we sing when we're supposed to have a natural relaxation response. So his this is true of Elton John. This is true of other people. So when I think of a great singer, this is now, I'm talking technically. Now, wait, let me back this up. If I were to give points to Freddie for his amazing, songwriting and artistry, I'm not worthy. Okay? So, like, if you guys are mature enough to separate that and not get mad, we can have a conversation that might be kind of cool. So there's that. But there's also the actual technical side of it, which is shmeh. I don't know. Why do you think Brian May and the band themselves were talking about Paul Rodgers, one of my favorite singers, to bring him in? And isn't it ironic, too, that after Freddie died, they brought Paul in to sing some of the stuff? That was kind of like Bad Company, singing Queen, which is, whatever. But Paul is still killing it to this day, and he had a command of this. So I don't want to babble, but I have to go through this. So, by the way, did I pass over Jeff Tate, and I never got past to Ronnie James Dio? I never got to Dio. Sorry. I'm going through a list of stuff here. Hold on. I gave you guys a list of Ronnie James Dio. Wow. That's all I can say. Hey! In the night! In the rainbows! Like, here's a guy that claims he had no real vocal experience or teaching or whatever. I know he learned, or said his parents played a lot of Mario Lanza. I know he said he got his pipes from playing trumpet. Sorry for you guys out there that are listening on headphones and I just got really loud. My bad. Man, when it comes to hard rock vocals, dude, the guy, Ronnie James Dio, let's have the D be a small d instead of God as in a big D, but he was just crazy great. Awesome, awesome singer. And he used a lot of the same concepts that we use here in Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy with open throat technique, good bel canto, good arpeggio, good breath, good vowel modifications, etc. You've got guys like Bruce Dickinson. Bruce, as I mentioned earlier, and I already did Sammy, and I'm kind of double backing on a couple things because I want to get to Whitney Houston in a second, but I feel like I missed some stuff. He just had this gift, run to the, he had just this great, range, right? But at the same time, it was a little bit like Jeff Tate from Queensryche, and he translated his voice into a head voice too early, and what that did was, I think it cost him some range. And we know this as we see this from singers over time. Let's get to Whitney Houston. So Whitney was a gift from God to all of us, and I'm sorry she left us the way she did. It's a bummer. But Whitney, her soul, her inspiration, her technique, and I know there's a lot of rock guys in my thing here, so you're all probably thinking, aren't you going to stay with, one style? No, I'm trying to. Like I said, I'm not going to be able to get to crooner stuff. I'm not going to be able to get to some of the 60s stuff, and I'm not going to be able to get to, the whole Motown thing, because there was so much that happened in Motown that's just, I don't even get to talk about, Roberta Flack or, lots of people, don't get to that. So I'll try to make a whole section for that, because I do love them too, so please don't think I don't. But what Whitney did was she had a soul about her, and then she also had a technique about her. Somehow she learned through the church. I don't know, really good. Early Mariah Carey was the same thing. Early, Mariah Carey, and I say early because later she got into whistle register, she started to lose her voice, she started using a lot of tracks. Great stuff, Visions of Love. When I first heard that song, I went, that chick is like going to the top. But then I started hearing her do other stuff with her voice that was not healthy. So what we do at Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy is you try to give you a gamut, an array, like a whole spectrum of what is healthy, what isn't, and why. And we can all negotiate this stuff, but I'm telling you, I've seen it, I know it, and I'll give you the goods, okay? Straight up. I have it all in my singing course. So I want to go to Robert Plant. What a weird transition from Mariah Carey to Robert. I just like him. I just like him. A street singer. Ken, you're dissing Robert Plant. No, not at all. I just like the guy. He's just a great street singer. Brad Delp from Boston. Back to rock guys again. Big range, smooth tone. Knew how to. In fact, if you Google or YouTube, some of the isolated vocals of that, you can see how smooth his tone was and how easy he was able to make those transitions from chest, mixed voice, and head. The guy had it going on, really going on. Ann Wilson. Okay, I'm going to stop here for a second on this one because I have to, and here's why. One of the greatest powerful female rock vocalists of all time. I want to say good technique, always great live, and. Her vibrato is what we say is called the gelta, or a goat's wiggle, right? So she has a goat's wiggle in her vibrato, and she uses it so much, and she over accentuates a lot of her words, right? So again, one of the greatest rock vocalists of all time, and if I were to put her on a pedestal, she'd be in the top 10 or the 10, right? So I'm not trying to do this, but I do want you guys to recognize that her vibrato wasn't that great. It really wasn't. And the way she approached a lot of her over-enunciation wasn't that great. She has an extra ability to have a lot of strength in the sound. And in fact, I would bet money that if she was hearing this right now, and I talked about her goat's wiggle, she would agree with it. And if I talked about her over-enunciation, she would agree with it. So, but again, we are looking for a lot of good female singers too, to have a way to represent the other half of the population, which is important. But in the end, she's killer, and she just doesn't miss a lick live. So she understands how to do this. Okay, so I know I'm getting like all these messages here to have Godsmack and whatever. I'm gonna get this. They're just keep rolling in. Guys, there's so many stuff. We'll talk about this stuff. I know you got all these comments coming in. Let's move on. So Pat Benatar. Now Pat came from a bel canto background. She was somehow had some operatic background, and so her technique was actually pretty dang good. A little dark and covered for me, personally. In the end, though, Hell is for Children and some of these other songs she did, I think she's one of the most venerated singers for winning Grammys of any female singer of all time. So worthy, very worthy. And then people say, well, Ken, what do you think about Janis Joplin? Well, again, from a street perspective, tone and attitude, take another little piece of my heart now, baby! And she's just like throwing down. She's in the soccer world or the football world, FUTBOL world, she's leaving it all on the field. Literally, she's leaving it all on the field. So everything she did, she left on the field. Bonnie Raitt is smooth as silk. Great overall musicianship, perfect performance, perfect pitch and tone. In fact, one of the other singers I've liked that I think she kind of modeled herself after Bonnie, maybe not, is Susan Tedeschi, whatever, she did a couple versions of some Bonnie songs. Great rock voice, great blues voice, just killer awesomeness. Love that. John Waite from the band The Babies and other bands that he's been in, but golden vocal tone. Somehow the guy was gifted by God. Angels came. When he was born, they all went around him and went, hallelujah, 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 and they just gave him some tone. I'm sure he had to work at it. Even right now, I want you to look up some of the Zeppelin songs that he's done. I think he's in his mid-60s, pushing 70. Listen to some of his stuff. That's true for Bryan Adams too. He was just started out with kind of a few nodes. By the way, let's talk about nodes real quick. Everyone thinks you got a node, go get surgery. Why? Because the doctor said that and they want your money? No, we can rehabilitate stuff. But Bryan had some natural nodes, and then it increased more and more in polyps and nodes. And then all of a sudden, he just had this great natural distortion. But his pitch is spot on, and his songs are great. Steven Tyler, attitude. Think about that. Steven Tyler. Is Steven Tyler the greatest singer in the world? No, but the guy's everywhere because he's putting it out there and he's got great attitude. Dream on! Yeah! The guy's just, can kill it, right? At any given day, you watch him sit up, go walk up to a piano, and boom, the guy kills it. Let's get into some other people. Ella Fitzgerald, okay? Queen of Jazz, spot on runs. You should listen to some of the melisma of Ella's stuff. It's crazy. Some of her jazz licks. In fact, songs like Summertime, when she comes back and she gets sensitive on a song, it's just magic. Straight up. Like, you feel like you're in the 40s, hurting, thinking about men overseas, and you want your men home, and she's just so sensitive when she's able to sing. It's crazy. So this isn't about just range. This isn't just about power. This isn't just about longevity. This is about class and about really being a great singer. I'm going to talk about Billie Holiday, another great force. My understanding is that she was a great inspiration to the Andrews Sisters. So if you get to check out the Andrews Sisters. By the way, this is a lot of information, guys, and I know I'm gonna have to circle back around and get it, But if you listen to the Andrews Sisters, all these cool stab, like horn stabs, like someone playing on a trumpet. Billie Holiday was just a force to be reckoned with. So, in fact, what I love about Ella Fitzgerald was Stevie Wonder refers to him in one of his songs, which is interesting because if Stevie Wonder is referring to him and other people in his songs, you better believe that these suckers had it going on. And go back and review that. Now, an unsung hero in this batch came later, which was Eva Cassidy, a blues singer. She died young, unfortunately, but I'm telling you, the sister could sing and sing anything, and she was great, but phenomenal talent. So I'm encouraged to go to newer talent and say, Ken, you've got all these old geezers out there. Are these the only guys that we can look to greatness? No, actually, I'm going to give some kudos out to Bruno Mars, and I don't care if you rock guys don't like it, but I'm going to tell you, he's sort of like Michael Jackson revisited or something with better range. When Michael Jackson lost his voice, lost his voice. Let me say this a different way. There's a very famous vocal coach out there that tried to bring Michael Jackson through puberty, and he wasn't able to do it. And I mean as famous as they come. And I don't feel like naming names right now. What I do feel like doing, though, is when I talk about Bruno, is that he was from Hawaii. We just got evicted from Hawaii from the lava. I think I told you about this from our last session. We lost 4 properties there, and we're actually living in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. And so that's where I'm broadcasting to you from. But Bruno was from Hawaii, and he was like an Elvis impersonator, which is funny. but he really stepped into that Michael Jackson role in a pretty phenomenal way. I mean, he was still killing it, you know what I mean? And he's gotten some help with some good songwriting, but just a talented guy. Jessie J, another killer vocalist. I'm not a fan of her vibrato. It's a little too, again, caprino, which is the goat swiggle kind of sound. But as far as her challenging herself and challenging you and me to try to sing her stuff, man, challenge accepted. I hope I can get it. We, my team, can get it, that cool. Christina Aguilera, whether people hate on Christina and they call her ex-Tina and all this stuff, come on, she's been a force to be reckoned with for so long. And, whether it's Hurt or Beautiful or whatever song she put out, she's a force. She did a great job. I don't know where she is vocally now, and I know she's struggled a bit, but, technically I wouldn't necessarily, she took more of the Etta James sort of, belting from the throat kind of sound, so it might have cost her a bit. She could come back from that if she really wanted to. So Beyonce Knowles, again, I've seen a lot of smack talked about Beyonce. Dude, try, Love on Top, man. See if you can do it. It's a hard song. She's got a lot of stuff in here. Go for it. She's a force to be reckoned with. More new people. Kelly Clarkson. Kelly's killer. I love Kelly. I love her story. One thing I don't love about her, she's always on 10. I'd love to hear her pull it back a little bit, but she's just, just killing it. She's put out some amazing pieces. Jennifer Hudson, powerful vocals. Leona Lewis, nice approach to R&B, really great. I want to get to one other subject, which is actually opera, and I'm not going to get a chance to cover because I wanted to do, I need to open this up for questions and stuff like this, but Maria Callas, she broke the mold of classical music. Instead of doing exactly what all of the critics at opera wanted, she was her own person, and she moved herself away from the pack, and she did something really cool. Pavarotti, an industry standard. By the way, Leone Maggieri is his vocal coach, and we could talk more about this, about vocal lessons with him, but I'm going to move on. Placido Domingo, powerful tenor. Enrico Caruso, a legend, as we know. UC Borland, I want to talk about him for a second. When Pavarotti was asked how he felt about UC Borland, a guy from Sweden, singing in Italian. All right, all you people that don't speak English, get your brains out around this. Or in this case, are having to translate into another language. He said, "For God's sake, man, I'm only human." That's what he said about UC. So I want you to get your brain around that. Pavarotti said that, not me. Renata Tabali, she's effortless. She's got this great, fantastic range. Renee Fleming, good laryngeal position, a little too warbly for my taste. Like, I'm not, whatever. She's Renee. She has a new book out, and I'm glad for her, and she's a phenomenal singer. Mario Lanza, which we mentioned Ronnie James Dio was inspired by, because his parents used to play that in his house. Look up Ave Maria. Look up his other stuff, but just listen to Ave Maria, his version. Holy cow, utterly amazing. Okay, we're going to take a 1-minute break, and we're going to let these questions come back so that we can see how many questions we can answer, and we'll be right back. Okay, all right. Okay, we're back. And so I wanted to open this up to questions from people that, wanted to know about this singer or that singer. And again, my sincerest apologies if I missed your favorite guy, if I missed, there's so many great singers, it's really not easy to get everybody. But I do want to address the questions that you have. So let's just start here. Can you give me one of them now? Steve Perry's epic. What do you think, Ken? Well, I've already talked about Steve. Steve is epic. I think that he pushed himself too hard to try to sing rock stuff without understanding the mechanism of what it takes to be a great rock singer. Then you're going to go to Arnell and talk about him. What do you think of him compared to Steve? It's one thing to emulate Jimi Hendrix as a guitar player when Jimi did it first. It's another thing to actually be Jimi Hendrix, or in this case Steve Perry. So Steve was awesome, and I pray that he would get his voice back on track and maybe join Journey back and do some more damage. That'd be awesome. Next question is, we have Cristiano Ferreira de Silva. What do you think of Vince Gill? Excellent. Vince is great. Okay, let's do this. Before I do that, we need to do a whole section on country singers, because there's a tendency to think that they're less than because they're not these high-range rock guys or this or that or whatever. And we could do this all the way from Johnny Cash to you name it. In fact, I had a very famous, I can't tell you who it is, we moved to Italy and I lost an account, and it was a very, very, very famous country singer, guitar player. It was super awesome. But my family was in a different place and I just needed to go do what I had to do. But anyway, so you could take these guys and we can break them down and we can discuss how great they are, and we'll do that. So maybe we should just have a whole country section on that. Next question is, sorry for not answering it, but I want to answer it responsibly in juxtaposition to other country artists that I love that I think are great too. So let's see here. What do you think about Chester from Linkin Park? I think that there's a lot of newer artists, and I didn't get to mention Chris Cornell that much, and I didn't get to, who's not newer, but in the middle there, somewhere in the grunge era. Chester Bennington had two voices, a really light voice and a scream voice. I think you should have something in the middle, and I think you should have layers of how you get there. So crazy, amazing, influential guy, awesome. But I personally would like to have heard more actual singing, not just like little boy singing, but like kind of throwing down in the mid-voice section with a little more strength in the sound, and then going ahead and throwing into some of the distorted sounds that he did. So that's how I feel about it. Anyway, next question is, Lane Staley is my favorite, and his melodies, tone, power. Well, Lane was a force to be reckoned with. Come on, guys. Let's. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't able to get to all the greats. Hey, yeah, feel my eyes. Some guy that could throw down like that and then also convey a story. I almost got the feeling from Lane. By the way, you headphone users out there, sorry about that. That he had more of a story to tell than even so much his vocal ability, though he had that obviously as well. But I think his whole thing was being filled with such angst with his life and everything else that it came out. Now, I want to share something with you. And by the way, I might have some Christians out there, and you're going to laugh at this, but I want to talk about something. Non-Christians and Christians, you're going to hopefully relate to this. I'm a Christian. I'm not saying this to tout Christianity right now. I'm going to say this maybe even to depose myself from something I think that's weird. As Christians, we have our fire insurance, and we all think we're going to heaven, and we think that we don't really have the angst and the frustration of life and everything that's, bled into that. So I don't care if it's Lane Staley, I don't care if it's Janis Joplin, I don't care who it is. These other people who don't have the fire insurance pour themselves out and they leave it all on the field in a way that leaves us with like, whoa, what just happened? It's a weird thing to say. I know this is kind of weird, but I really want to say this because it's about passion and it's about, how we represent ourselves and it's about how we communicate a message, right? So you have these people, whether it's Kurt Cobain, it doesn't matter who it is, they only see here and now. Imagine there's no heaven. I like to say, imagine there's no Lennon. But anyway, so imagine there's no heaven and there's no afterlife and there's nothing. It's just here and now. All of a sudden, you get people that take drugs and do things or not, and then they just are ferociously trying to grab life by the cojones. And so whether it's Lane, whether it's Janis, whether it's Hendrix, whether it's any of these guys, this is the byproduct of what we see. Well, we all should be that passionate. Straight up, if we believe what we believe, whether you believe in God or you don't, this isn't a vie for Christianity. I wasn't trying to go here. I just had to bring it up because of the weirdness of the way this subject came up. But if we really believe it, we all should leave it on the field. And we should do every single thing we can to make sure that our life counts. In my case, I want my life to count for Christ. In your case, you think that you're going to immortalize yourself, not you, but someone else, immortalize themselves and tombstone stuff. And then you're going to get your, walk of Hall of Fame star or something, and then someone's going to walk across you and say, oh, I remember that guy, he was awesome. Right? So, but in the end, we should all aspire to be as great as we can be. And in Lane's case, you can hear it. And in, I said Janis's case, you can hear it. In Hendrix's case, you can hear it. All these different people, you can hear it. Anyway, sorry for being long-winded on this. Next question, what do we got here? Trying to get to as many as we can, guys, so I'm going to do my best. Mark Bundy, are you a fan of Lou Gramm? Lou is one of my all-time favorite singers. Absolutely. I grew up on him. Couldn't sing like him when I grew up. Took me a long time to get kind of in the space and the face and the resonators and everything else there. So yeah, it took me a long time, but I can't say enough good about Lou. Lou is one of my all-time favorite singers. Next question is, Sonic Revolver, greetings from South Florida. Did you already mention Michael Sweet? I haven't. Again, there's a lot of people I haven't been able to mention. Michael is awesome. He's done a great job in the Christian community. He is, and beyond, way beyond, sorry. But more than that, he set a precedent for what greatness is supposed to be like. And so I hope that other people would aspire towards not just the singing, the playing, the songwriting, the production, the professionalism, all that should be front and center of greatness for all of us. So next question, here we go. Which one is it here? What Cristiano asked about David Lee Roth. David's not a singer. Sorry, guys. He's not a singer. He's an entertainer. I think David would be the first to tell you he's not a singer. If you were to take my cousin Sammy Hagar, and you were to take David Lee Roth, whether you're on the David side of the camp of Van Halen or the Sammy side of camp Van Halen, Sammy is a singer. David was an entertainer that could eke out a few notes. People are going to hate me for saying this, but how does he does that 3-octave thing with his voice when he screams? That's actually because he ruined his voice so badly that he gets sort of that Nubian throat singing with 3 tones coming out of it, thing. So let's be clear on this. He was a phenomenal, still is a phenomenal entertainer. I don't put him in the category of a great singer. Get pissed at me all you want. That's how I feel about it. Next question, here we go. Patient Indigo. What do you think of Elliott Smith? That's a tough question because, okay, here's what I want to do with this. I'm going to go through as many of these as I can. Since this has broached a big subject, I want to tell you what I like about a person and what I don't like about a person, so that I don't just come off like an a-hole and say what I don't like about a person and you don't get the benefit of knowing what I sincerely do like about a person. That's a person that I'm going to do that with. In fact, I want to do that with Sam Smith. I want to do that with Ed Sheeran. I want to do that with a lot of other singers, So it's not, I want to praise the good and point out what I would do differently personally. And if people can handle that, cool. And if not, that's fine. But that's what I'm going to do. So hang on to the question. We're going to come back to it. I think I promise, if my team can remember. Anyway, so next question is, how do you talk about the band Survivor? Well, are we talking about the original band Survivor? Or are we talking about the second band? Again, what a great vocalist. I can't even think of his name right now. Oh my gosh. The guy that just died of an overdose, unfortunately, of crack, I think. Anyway, I'll think of his name in a second. Sorry, I've got a lot going on in my brain right this second. Jamie Jamison. Doesn't get any better than that. Jamie was awesome. You know, the original singer, they know they had some problems, moved on to Jamie, and smooth, tone, pitch, could tell the story, didn't oversing, which is really important, kind of like Mickey Thomas. He didn't try to kill it. Killer mixed voice. What a phenomenal talent. Just a great guy and a phenomenal talent. I'm sorry that he OD'd, and I'm sorry that we lost him at a time where we could continue to use fantastic voices like that. What do we got next here? Jaroslav Skola. Okay, again, girl on top of the world. I'm gonna get to different styles. Maybe what we should do is just like go R&B, pop, rock, you know, old school classics or whatever, so we can talk about each one of these guys and only maybe take on 3 singers and play exactly what they do, put it up on the screen, and then we can dissect, you know, what's good, what could be better, how we could improve, all those things, because that's what I do for a living with professional vocalists, is how I do that. So next question, we will get to that. Amy Winehouse, Dario Balmas, what do you think of Amy Winehouse? Okay, passionate singer. Again, we talked about crooner stuff. So when we get to crooner, she would certainly fit in that category. We will do Amy alongside of, you know, Frank Sinatra, alongside of a lot of any of the crooners that will do that on the crooner era. So thank you for bringing that up. Next question is, how do you feel about Bon Scott? Bon was cool. The one thing about Bon that he has had a lot over Brian is that he was able to have a higher register and compress his sound easier than Bon did. And Bon got locked up and he'd raise his larynx as he went, right? Now, he was able to get away with it for a lot of years, and he was able to get the audience to sing a lot of his stuff when he got stuck, letting the larynx relax to where he could come back up again, get back into that vocal sound. Excuse me. I subscribe to an open throat technique, and as you've seen my demonstration with AC/DC, it's a completely open sound where we're able to, you know, not get locked up in the larynx and have it shove it way directly up into our throat to inhibit our ability to sing. Not saying he's not awesome. By the way, I want to share a quick story with you. You may or may not appreciate it. It's an anecdote. And maybe I have my buddy Gaston Alvarez that's out there. I had an opportunity to do a version of an AC/DC song, which was going to be for the Terminator 1, I think, was soundtrack. So I recorded a song called Slave Trade. And when I did this song, they had quoted the film company, I think $1 million or something, where if they were to make a song for the Terminator movie, that's what it was going to cost. So a friend of mine said, hey, Ken, I think you can nail this. Can you do something like it? Here's the storyline. And we did Slave Trade. I did Slave Trade. When their publishing company heard it, it actually turned into Thunderstruck. I kid you not. Straight up, I've been in the film and TV business for a long time. So when they heard my version of Slave Trade, they decided to go ahead and record it, Thunderstruck, for $250,000 as opposed to $1 million. So I know the style really well, and I understand how to get to it, and we can talk more about that, but they both have their own different styles. Bon was a little more subtle at the way he was able to present his stuff, and I'll leave it at that. Okay, next question, and we're coming into a close here pretty quick. Mark Kavanaugh, Maria Callas. Holy cow. Mark, you suck. Thanks for the question. The reason you suck is there's no way, like I could spend a whole session on Maria. Let's just talk a few things. The first thing is, in bel canto, for those of you that don't know what that is, or in arpeggio, there is a very legalistic way of how you're allowed to present your vowel sounds and what is expected of you, in her case as a soprano. She broke the mold, and I mean smashed the mold. She didn't smash it in a way that came out and was, you know, gothic and huge and big and bold and blasting. She smashed it because she changed a lot of the color and a lot of the beautiful ways she represented bel canto. She was hated for a long time, took a lot of flack from a lot of critics that just raped her over, you know, because she didn't do it the way everyone expected. But over time, what happened was a lot of people went, but we like this. This is cool. And she still is in the style, or she still is in the spirit of bel canto. Why are you treating her so harshly? So she outlived that, which kudos to her, and then later became an icon of setting a new precedent for that it's okay to not have to sing exactly like what bel canto tells you. Now here's why this is important to me. I do the exact same thing. Hear me out, guys. I've studied bel canto all my life. I do the exact same thing. In bel canto, like we discussed last week, you get 5 vowel sounds. La, he, I, o, u. You know, you get 5 vowels, a, e, o, u. And she broke the mold where she brought a little more mask into the face, and she was a little sweeter in the sound, and she didn't drop the larynx so low, and she did all these things where she wasn't like, she was like, she got sweeter on the sounds. And everyone's like, well, that's not the way it's supposed to be done, but it still sounds cool. It actually contemporized bel canto in a lot of ways, okay? She got busted hard for this. In the same way, I've done the same thing with bel canto, studying it for 35 years. I've taken the 5 basic sounds and I've retranslated them into 16 different vowel sounds. It's all in my singing course. This isn't if I had to go get my singing course. I'm just telling you what I've done. Because the mechanism works. It's really cool. But in the spirit of Maria, I did this exact same thing to retranslate that into more of a modern approach to singing, and then even take it further into a rock approach to have those sounds and push that sucker to the limit and the threshold of everything it could be. So maybe we can talk about this more later. Maybe this is a whole subject unto itself. I'm going to take one more question and then I'm out of here. So, and again, we'll come back to this later. This will be on a replay. You guys can watch this back. But last one, what do we got? We had one about Lady Gaga. What was the other one? Okay, let's just do this. Opinion of Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga has brought her game up big time. Good for you, Lady Gaga. I'm glad, instead of seeing you slip into the pop world, that you brought it up in a big way. Nice job. Nice job for the other stuff that you did that went beyond the pop thing. Shout outs from Boston, from this, San Francisco, South Carolina, Canada. Okay, so I'm going to take one more question though. Gentry from Finland, Uruguay. Let's just get one more guy in here. My voice is low. Okay, we'll talk about, we're going to actually go through, I'm going to do a whole series on vocal registration. So your voice is low and you sing in a 4th octave and blah, blah, blah. That's Jaleel key. I'll get to that. Megan Molland. It's deeper than women. It's an example of the reason. I'll do that when I get to, again, vocal registrations. I'll get to that. Land of Dracula. Hey, I answered one of your questions last week. When I want to sing with hoarseness, my voice is hurting. How do I avoid that? We talked about that in the distortion classes. So we're going to have to do a whole series on distortion. And so that's basically it, guys. So thank you for joining me, Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. Hopefully this was beneficial to you. And if you're interested in my singing course, I have a course that just has like 40 hours of tutorials on how to get you to your end game. So if you want to get that, you can find it on my website, kentamplinvocalacademy.com, or just go to my tutorials on YouTube and dabble in there and see if it's, if you resonate with it. And I'm going to be doing a series of these now because I've gotten so many requests for them. So every Saturday at 9 a.m. and every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Los Angeles time, I'm here for you to answer these questions with these subjects, and email us at ktvahelp@gmail.com. That's Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy. So Kangaroo, Tango, Victor Apple, KTVA, the word help@gmail.com, and give us your requests so I can better serve you with what it is that your vocal would require for your vocal needs. Okay? Thank you, guys. God bless you. Peace.